Hey guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, I wanted to talk about career choice and discuss about my own working history a little bit because I've been getting a lot of questions about my career. So let's just talk about that. Okay, so I got my very first job when I was 16, when I had just turned 16. I got a job bagging groceries at a grocery store. And then after that, I got a job walking dogs, and I have had a lot of different jobs. I've worked as a teddy bear counselor at the teddy bear factory in Vermont. I have worked in my college admissions office. I've worked in a lab with lab rats. I've done a lot of different things. I was a flight attendant for a while. I have done a lot of jobs, but I have worked consistently since I was 16 years old. So I have not had a break in my employment. There was certain periods of my life where I was working part-time because I was in school or because I had just had my babies. But I've been working consistently. I've never stopped for any period of time. I've always been trying to hustle and grind and make money. And then currently I am working as an accountant. I work in finance. And so career is something that comes up, right, on this channel because I'm talking about getting extra jobs, making money. I did a video talking about introverts and the best side hustles for introverts. And so that's a topic that we discuss. And I had said in that video, the one about introverts, that I think that being an accountant is a very good career choice for people who are introverts. In talking about career choice, career selection, I think I want to talk about this just briefly because it was not something that was discussed with me in great detail when I was a girl before I went to college, a young girl. I'm still a girl, but it was not something that was discussed other than you should go to college. That was all that was really said to me. You should go to college, especially because you're a woman. You'll make more money if you have a college degree, which I still think is true. However, I think that it is so important to talk to your children and also to really evaluate this within yourself if you're thinking of going to school, to make sure that you're really going for something that has value in the marketplace, that you're going to college and you're selecting a career that you are passionate about, that you really think you're going to enjoy, but also that will actually make you money. Because a lot of times people think that in order to work a job that you're passionate about, you have to not make any money or accept a lower salary. And I don't necessarily think that to be true. I think that you can do something you're passionate about or that you enjoy and make some money. Or if you have something you're passionate about that you don't think is going to really earn you a lot of money, then you can do it as a hobby on the side and then try to pick a career that you think you'll be relatively happy in that will make you some money. People will notice if you are willing to do anything and everything and that you work hard and that you show up to work on time and you don't complain, and if you can stay late, I mean, that's going to be noticed, and eventually you're going to be promoted. And if you're not, then somebody else is going to try to steal you onto their team. All right, because they're going to see what a hard worker you are, how you're always willing to help out, you're willing to do anything. And so that's going to help you get further in your career. But when you first start out in a job, you really just have, like I said, you just have to humble yourself and realize that you're not entitled. Just because you have a million degrees doesn't mean you're going to come in there and everybody's just going to like fawn all over you. You have to sort of pay your dues a little bit. And you have to be willing to work. You have to actually work. There's a lot of people who come into work and they don't work. Like the majority of people come into work and they just sort of putz around. I mean, really, not that many people work tremendously hard, at least in corporate offices. I mean, so you will stand out if you are willing to work when you are at work, and I highly recommend it. So in addition to working though, you have to realize that nobody cares what you think when you first start your job. All right, I like this from Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you know him, but he has a YouTube channel. He's written the book Crush It. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about how when he first started out, all he did was, for the first 10 years, was listen. He did a lot of listening and obviously working, but he didn't do a lot of talking. He realized that nobody really cared what he had to say when he first started out. He had to sort of gain the cred, the street cred, get the chops, right? He had to listen, learn, experience, so that way when he did start talking, people would listen because he had had the experience. He could say, hey, when I was out there doing it, this is what I learned. But when you first start, you can't expect to start talking and have people really care what you say when you first start out. Like, you have to gain the experience. You have to have something that you can, I think Dave Ramsey always says, that, what is that line that he says? It's so good. Having a testimonial is wonderful, but getting the testimonial is a pain in the butt, right? Or pain in the ass, right? Like I said, I think it's important to realize that when you first start out in a career, that you are working your way up. It's important to try to help as best you can. Always just be asking. I think it's just a great phrase that I've learned from my mother, is to say, how can I help, right? It helps you with your family members and your relationship with your spouse and at work, right? That's how can I help? It's the best phrase ever. Because when I'm upset, I'm having a problem, I'm talking to my husband about it, and oh my gosh, I'm so upset about this. And then men instinctively want to try to just fix it. And so they just try to jump to the conclusion, how can they fix it? They're just going to try to fix it. And a lot of times I'll say, that's not what I wanted you to do. I don't want you to fix it in that way. And if he could just say, how can I help? Gives me the opportunity I feel as if I'm being heard, and I feel as if he is trying to do, to help me out, and then I can tell him how to help me. This is not a relationship video, but in your career, your boss probably feels the same way, because that's sort of a relationship, and your coworkers. So if you can say to your coworkers and say to your boss, how can I help? It really makes them feel, a lot of times the answer might be, no, there's nothing you can do, thanks so much for offering, but then you've offered to help. And so, nobody can say you haven't tried to do the best you could, right? And then, it might it just really shows that you are willing to do. And if they say, yes, you could do this to help me, obviously you want to do it and follow through with it. If you're asking the question, you have to genuinely be willing to help. Right? And then, gosh, if we could all just use that phrase in all avenues of our lives, the world would just be, we'd have peace on earth. We could just all say, how can we help? And then actually follow through with that. Okay. All right, that is my Dana rant for this video. Okay. All right, you guys, if you have any other questions about career, you can leave that down below. Hopefully my comments are functioning properly here on YouTube, or if you're watching this video on Facebook, then obviously you can leave a comment there. And careers are hard. I think they can be emotional. People tie their self-worth into it. Which is really a shame. In the end, remember, it is a job, and you want it to be something that you enjoy. You don't want it to be just a job, but it's just a job. So, and it has nothing to do with your value as a human being on this planet. So whether you're performing well at work, or you have a job that people consider to be, high status or not, I mean, you can dig worms for a living and be a multimillionaire, and people will look at you like, oh, you dig worms for a living? But whatever, right? You got to do what you feel is good for you, and it doesn't define you as a person, right? You're so much more than just the work that you do. So much more. We all wear different hats. We have different roles in our lives, and it is just one small piece of who you are as a person, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. If it's your first time here, be sure to subscribe. I'm here every single Tuesday talking all about money, among other things, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.